Yeah, Conley Woods versus Gavin Verhey is going to be our initial.
Okay, so let's just. Here we go. Our first move to a game. Watsy Gavin against CC Conley.
Right, and we have just given them the go-ahead to start the match that
Yep.
we're going to be seeing at the very beginning. The other matches got underway just a couple of minutes ago, so we're going to be checking in with those as we go as well.
And we are in business. So we can cut to, there we are, our first match screen of the day. On the top of your screen is Gavin Verhey, on the bottom is Conley Woods. Both start 60 card decks, remember, so they've both got 53 left in their libraries, as we're waiting for Conley to decide whether he wants to take a mulligan here at the start. Worth noting, if you're unfamiliar with the new beta client, still got your clocks over here on the right hand side, and as we saw yesterday, you can run into clock trouble in this. So we'll see how this goes as we wait for Conley to make his move. And we're away. So upkeep into main phase, it's an island, and that will be all. So now we're into the upkeep for Gavin, and he will begin with Watery Grave. He will stay at 20, put it into play tapped. Plains for Conley, turn 2 for Gavin, and
Yeah, so let's talk about this matchup a little bit. It looks like Gavin, yeah, so he is going to lead off with the Dimir Signet, which is going to get remanded here, as you would say. And
or remanded, as you would say.
Remand.
Remand. Oh my good God.
I don't see the problem here.
No, surely.
So basically we have a control deck versus kind of a typical mid-range type deck. We see the Liev Sky Knight come down for Conley. This is going to provide a measure of pressure, but Gavin is not going to be short on answers for this as he follows up with a Signet. He's just looking to take a little bit of damage here early, I think. Doesn't really care that much, and then while he develops his board.
So the Liev Sky Knight was functionally blank, didn't bother with detain, there wasn't anything to detain, but now Loxodon Hierarch, one of Ravnica's greatest hits. There you see the 4/4, Conley will gain 4 life, and if he decides to sacrifice it with a couple of mana, he will get to regenerate all his creatures.
Is that the most mid-range creature ever printed?
It's kind of the definition of it, isn't it? That's
Rashad, can I get a confirmation? Yeah, confirmed.
Yeah, Rashad's old enough to remember every mid-range creature in history.
Yeah,
so.
and I think this Bant deck is definitely classified as a mid-range list. Ooh.
Let's go to Return to Ravnica for the 6/6 flying Desecration Demon.
Now that's interesting because that you wouldn't normally consider that a control card, but sure.
Wow, Detention Sphere, Return to Ravnica once again. And now let's see, what does Conley choose here? Presumably just the demon. Yep.
Yeah, he just takes out the demon. He could take out the Dimir Signet.
That's right, that was a possibility.
Yeah, but getting in for 7 seems a little more relevant here. This is going to drop Gavin all the way to 10.
And Birds of Paradise is added to Conley. And if you're thinking, well, hang on, Birds of Paradise, that's M12, and yes, it is. But it was also in the original Ravnica block. Because fixing was a really big deal that year.
That's right.
So Gavin down to 10 here in game 1.
Let's see if he has an answer for at least one of these creatures on board. Because he's going to take a huge hit next turn if he doesn't produce something that can get in the way of these two beaters. Now, currently, Conley's completely tapped out, so Gavin has free reign to do whatever he wants here. And it looks like another Signet.
Yep. And that still leaves him plenty of mana available. You see the mana accumulating in this top left-hand corner. And he's going to go for Mizium Mortars, 4 damage to target creature you don't control. That sends the Loxodon Hierarch to Conley's graveyard.
All right, so he did find a way to kill one of them, and now he's going to continue on his plan of keeping the board clear. This is a much better situation for Gavin than it just was. Liev Sky Knight, yeah, it's going to be pressuring, but
yeah, but it's a 4-turn clock rather than a 2-turn clock, which is what happened with the 7 damage and then 7 damage again to be lethal. So
exactly.
Interestingly, Conley decided to put the breeding pool into play untapped, so he dropped from 24 back to 22. He'd gained 4 from the Hierarch. And yet didn't actually do anything
so
with
he's
the
got
mana
6 mana available here. You have to wonder what it is that Conley could have, or even what he's representing to Gavin by doing that. Now, the 2 damage is pretty inconsequential, but you certainly wouldn't want to just throw it away for no reason.
Yeah.
We've we might be seeing something here on the end step for Conley, which is Gavin has just passed the turn. He has 5 cards in hand, and he's got 6 mana sources. Just did nothing, so it's pretty conceivable that he's got something in his hand.
As you see, we're in the end step down here. The turn flows through along the bottom of your screen in the new beta client, and let's see what Conley does, if anything, here. Is that breeding pool going to come in handy? Looks like it is. Indeed. 6 mana for Chord of Calling, where X equals 3. So he's going to search his library for a creature card with cost 3 or less and put it onto the battlefield. Now, I say he's going to. It's entirely possible that Gavin will have something to say about that with all his much mana available and 5 cards in hand. Let's see what Gavin decides to do with this. He is going to do something about it, and it's Is It Charm, counter target non-creature spell, unless Conley pays 2. Well, Conley didn't have to. So, the Chord of Calling goes away.
And the beats continue here, presumably.
The Sky Knight will pile in.
Quick update from one of the other matches I'm watching. Aaron Forsyth versus Heath Newton. And Aaron has an Armada Worm and Armada Worm's friend on the battlefield versus a Killer Instinct on Heath's side. So we're going to see if he can hit his own big spell over there.
So now you see Repeal from Gavin. That sends Detention Sphere away. That will return Desecration Demon to the battlefield for Gavin. Temporarily.
Now, did he do that in the middle of combat so that he can block the Sky Knight?
Yeah, that looks about right.
Yikes. That's a big play for Gavin.
Yeah, it's like, may I block?
Looks like Conley's in the tank here about if he wants to use a spell. Now, we're already past the Declare Attacker, so he can't sacrifice his birds to tap it down, the demon. Looks like he's tapping mana. He might have a play here. Gavin is tapped out. He certainly doesn't want to watch his Sky Knight just fly flippantly into
fly
that
into a
demon.
6/6 wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Sky Knight's very, very dead if we get to blockers. So,
right,
Cyclonic Rift.
Rift.
Yeah, and that's interesting because, of course, Conley's already at 6. That's why it's such a tricky decision. Because if he gets to 7, it's all non-lands.
And he can bounce both Signets and some other creature.
Both Signets will go.
Yeah, he's got to be disappointed to have to use his Cyclonic Rift, but also happy that he had the option.
And also happy that Gavin is now down to 4.
Now the question is, Conley does have that Detention Sphere in his hand. He can cast it. Does he? You know, the demon will come back down regardless, but he can take him off of red mana here if he wants.
And also, he can just take the demon away by sacrificing the Birds of Paradise.
That's true.
So then the Liev Sky Knight can attack
he does.
3
He
and
just
put it
takes
to
him
1.
off of red. He says, you know what, Gavin, you only have 1 red source on the battlefield.
You Mizium mortared me earlier in the game. How about you don't do it anymore?
Well, also, you know, that's an interesting clue that you mentioned here, Rich, because the fact that Mizium Mortars is in the deck indicates that Gavin is playing a lot of red. You know, because you do want to overload that card, and the fact that he's only got the 1 source means he might have other red cards in his hand. We've also seen a Is It Charm from him as well.
There it is. So 2 of the 3 cards in the graveyard are red.
All right, we have an early result, a collective blessing came down for Aaron Forsyth, and he attacked with an Armada Worm, Armada Worm's best friend, and a 3/4 Birds of Paradise for the victory versus Heath. We never got to get an upkeep on Killer Instinct in game 1 there. So Aaron Forsyth up a game. I'm going to check in on Jackie Lee's match. She's playing against Mark Rosewater.
So generally when we say that players are in the tank, that is rhetorical. But here at Wizards of the Coast, there's an actual tank for players to get in during their turns, should they feel the need. And that's where Gavin Verhey's been. You've seen the tank, right? No?
What tank?
Well, wasn't that on the... Did they not show them that on the tour this morning?
I wasn't on it. I went last year.
Okay.
All right, so Desecration Demon comes back and also an Is It Boiler Works. Now, that's going to open up red for Gavin, but not this turn.
Eventually, that's right. Because it's... you see the original Ravnica cycle.
Looks like Jackie Lee has a Jace Architect of Thought down, and it's facing down a Watch Wolf and a Dryad Militant for Mark Rosewater.
Okay.
So we'll see how that develops.
So Conley here, in his first main phase, looking to get rid of the Desecration Demon, which he can do by sacrificing his Birds of Paradise if he wants. Currently, he doesn't have... Oh, okay. So now, 1, 2,
Is this
3,
another
4.
Cyclonic Rift?
Wow, wouldn't that be a beating?
He's got 7 mana now. He's not tapping that last
No.
breeding pool, but...
So we're sitting at 6.
This could be huge for Conley. He's only got 2 cards left in hand. Angel of Serenity!
Boom!
That's a reasonable 7-drop.
Yeah. Not countering that, Gavin, I don't think, with a Watery Grave.
So he's going to get to target the Loxodon Hierarch
in his own graveyard.
And the Desecration Demon to get it out of the way.
So that's a reminder that it's creatures from battlefield and or creature cards from graveyards. That S means you can stick your own guy underneath so that if the angel dies, it will come back, that whatever you've put underneath it for yourself. So Gavin is at 1. He does have his red mana available, but I suspect he's in a world of nearly dead.
He needs a sweeper here. The thing about Angel of Serenity that's really cool if you're on Conley's side of the battlefield here is that even if Gavin finds a way to kill it, you know, and if Angel of Serenity, what I'm trying to say here is that even if Gavin finds a way to kill it, he still has to be able to recast the demon to reestablish his board state. It's not like an Oblivion Ring effect where they get the creature or the thing back right away.
Yeah.
It actually goes back to your hand. So let's see what Gavin comes up with here. He does have 6 cards in hand, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 6 mana available as well. So he should be able to make a play that'll keep him alive theoretically.
Well, let's see what he can come up with. 5 mana in his pool right now. 1 blue, 3 black, 1 red. See it top left of your screens. There we are. So where does he go?
Quick update from the Jackie Lee versus Mark Rosewater. Watchwolf is now carrying a Moldervine Cloak, and there's a second Jace on the battlefield. The first one died.
Okay.
Jackie is digging for an answer. All right, it looks like Gavin conceded. What is that card?
Ribbons of Night.
Okay, so he played a Ribbons of Night, but
4
that didn't
damage,
quite
gain
do what
4
he
life,
wanted.
but no, not getting him there. Goes back up to 5 and then just dies.
And then dies to the Angel.
So Gavin is done. Let's take you somewhere else, if we can.
Yep, I'm taking a
And
look right
bang,
now.
straight there.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is a pile. It says piles. These are the 2 piles from a Jace Architect of Thought activation.
So there we are, up on your screen.
And Jackie has chosen one of the piles, but as you can see, Mark Rosewater is applying a ton of pressure here. He's got 2 Dryad Militant and a Watchwolf, but you'll notice it's a 6/6 thanks to this Moldervine Cloak. And Jackie did hit the land she needed. She was stuck on 4 for a while, so we're going to see if she can do anything crazy when she untaps. She's only got 3 cards in hand versus Mark Rosewater's 5. He looks like he's in a pretty good spot here. You know, he can actually just attack for 10 and ignore Jace if he wants. He can also just send one of the Dryad Militants over to Jace and the other 8 damage to Jackie. So he's got a lot of options here, operating quite smoothly on only 3 lands. And he's going to play, excuse me, well, it is 3 lands, but one of them is a bounce land, a Karoo as we call them. So he does have 4 mana available, and he uses it to cast Loxodon Hierarch. And it looks like, yeah, one of the Dryad Militants is going to go at Jace to finish him off, and the other 8 power is going to crash in as Jackie Lee is going to drop to 9 here. She's facing way more than lethal.
Aaron Forsyth is a very, very naughty man.
What did Aaron do?
He's just posted on Twitter, "Feel free to tweet me the contents of my opponent's hand."
Wow.
Excellent.
Look, I know Aaron Forsyth pretty well, and that does not surprise me. I've watched him play Commander before.
Yeah.
He is ruthless. I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah. Just seen a very neat play in Mike Turian against Bubba. Bubba went in with his Rakdos Cackler. Turian sacrificed Seal of Fire to kill it and bathe in light. Said, I tell you what, how about I get protection? So the Cackler continues to pound in for Bubba, who's down a game against Mike Turian.
All right, it looks like Jackie is just going to pass the turn. She does have 5 mana up, however, and she's got 4 cards in hand, so she's probably going to be playing something on Mark Rosewater's turn. We're going to see if it's something that can prevent 9 damage coming in. If she manages to take care of the Watch Wolf, she'll take 8 this turn and drop to 1. But she's in a pretty tight spot here. I can't imagine her getting out of this without some serious help. All right, big in combat. Everybody into the red zone. Get in there. 6, 10, 12, 14 damage.
Oh, boy.
All coming at Jackie here.
Her spell smash.
I did not know where you were going with that until the end.
Yeah,
I was like, what
it's
is
so
he?
often like that with words and spelling.
Yeah, is this some language I don't know?
No.
All right, so she's tapping mana. Let's see what she has here. She's got Putrefy, and that's going to target the Watch Wolf. This is going to keep her alive.
Yep.
Putrefy gets exiled because of the Dryad Militants that are out. She is going to drop to 1, and she has 1 turn here to do something pretty remarkable. It's not looking good for Jackie.
It is not. Dryad Militant, just as an honest-to-God beater. Although you did see Putrefy hit the exile zone as a result of Dryad Militant's existence on the battlefield.
True. All right. I call this guy the Brick. Loxodon Smiter comes down. Now, he's got a lot of text, but the most important piece of text is that he's a 4/4 for 3 mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, he passes the vanilla test quite nicely, and he is going to add just another lethal threat. I don't know if you even need to cast the Loxodon Smiter there. She has to deal with 3 different creatures. And it looks like she's just passed the turn back. So I believe that Mark is going to just finish the game here. Again, the Loxodon Hierarch activation is also available, so even if she's able to kill everything at instant speed, he can regenerate them. They will be tapped and removed from combat, so she wouldn't die, but she'd still have to find another way to kill everybody. And Mark piles in again with all of his creature, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 damage. Jackie's only at 1. No blocks. And Jackie dies to the onslaught of beef.
Okay, well,
What do you got over there, Rich?
I have got Mike Turian at the top of your screen against Bubba Kosinski down at the bottom, who is just casting Boros Swiftblade over here. The bad news for Bubba is that Mike Turian, remember how good the new Rakdos Guild Mage is? You know what? The old one's pretty awesome as well. He's just been discarding cards to give a creature -2 until end of turn. That functionally kills pretty much everything in sight on Bubba's side of the board. And so right now, Boros Swiftblade is standing in front of a 2/1 Gorehouse Chainwalker, did not get unleashed by Turian, and the aforementioned Rakdos Guild Mage. So that 4 mana discard a card is proving to be an absolute beating, and is swinging this second game of 3 Turian's way. Turian already leading 1-0. So we'll see what he does here. You may be seeing that in action because he's just tapped 4 mana. I wonder whether we're about to see a discard and an end of a Boros Swiftblade. There it is. Boros Swiftblade gets targeted. It's out the way. 4 more damage is going to come in from the Chainwalker and the Guild Mage. Depending, Bubba could really do with something useful like a Lightning Helix, but as you can see down here at the bottom, he has only 1 card left in hand.
Turian looks like he's in pretty good shape there.
He could, yeah.
Quick update from the side tables. Some interesting updates, actually. So, Dan Emmons, he just won a game with 6 assassin tokens from 1 Vraska.
That doesn't seem possible. You only get 3.
Yeah, we'll explain that one in a little bit, but he won the game. Now, I'm watching the next game right now, and he has Vraska again, and she's sitting at 7 loyalty.
Wow.
So I'm not sure what his plan is there. In another update, Trick Jarrett, 2-0 over John Laux.
And I just love the dripping amazement in your voice there.
Like, I've played a lot of games against John, and the guy can play.
Yeah.
And we had Trick Jared in here saying, guys, don't put me on camera.
That's true.
And he just
Lulling us
calmly
into a-
dispatches of John Laux.
Yeah.
And John Laux is actually playing a deck that he likes, I think, quite a bit. I'll double check that. But yeah, so good on Trick for just calmly 2-0ing.
Yeah, and that means that Shea Hall is the last undefeated player here at the Community Cup 2012, because John Laux was 3-0 yesterday for the community in Cube Draft. As you can see on screen, meanwhile, Bubba is down to just 5 here, playing in his second Community Cup. He's got 2 cards in hand, facing down, not quite lethal, but heading that way. Remember, the Guild Mage, if it decides it doesn't need to give a creature -2/-2, can make a 2/1 haste creature to pile in. And although it gets exiled at the start of the next turn, the end step, that's not going to matter, because 6 damage is enough for lethal. So Bubba is technically facing lethal right now. So Bubba has just passed the turn with those 2 cards open. So he needs something, and something soon. Scott Larrabee wanders by our glass-fronted commentary box here to see what's going on in the early rounds. And now Turian is going to add another creature to the board. It's the First Strike Haste Ash Zealot. Oh boy. In comes the team. Bubba, what have you got? Have you got a sweep up my permanents? You have a sweep up my permanents. So that is 2-0 to the Annihilator, Mr. Mike Turian. Rarely have people enjoyed attacking for 2 more. And right there on your screen is what Mike Turian does best. 2, 2, 2, turn it sideways. Next.
All right, so back over here, we're looking at Dan Emmons on the top versus James LRR down below there. Now, Dan, as you can see, he has Vraska the Unseen sitting at 7, but there's also a Glare of Subdual here for James, and he's used that to tap down the wall so that he can attack. He's going to attack Vraska for 2, but he's going to Celestia Charm, which is going to bring the Centaur. Oh yeah, so it was actually for 5. Good. All right, so he used Celestia Charm to make his token a 5/5. He brought Vraska down to 2, but she had just used her plus ability where it says, until your next turn, whenever a creature deals combat damage to Vraska, destroy that creature. And so basically she had Death Touch and took down the token with her, which is very strong.
Sure.
Also, she's still alive.
Being alive is generally always good.
It's one of the best things you can do. So Dan now untaps. He uses the plus ability from Vraska again. He plays a Sadent. He's got 5 cards in hand. It looks like he's got something else to play this turn. Let's see what it is. It is a Skeletal Vampire. Now, this card looks pretty good, right? Take a look at it. It's got flying. It costs 6 mana for a 3/3 flying. Not that great, but when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 bats that have flying as well, and you can pay 5 mana to sack a bat to put 2 bats in, and you can sack a bat to regenerate. It's just a kind of a machine to make tokens. Now, you might ask yourself, why is this in this deck? This deck on the top is the 4-color Doubling Season deck for the Wizards of the Coast team.
Okay.
So now you can start to see how we ended up with 6 assassin tokens from Vraska the Unseen in a previous game here. As it stands, you know, the Skeletal Vampire comes in, and if there was a Doubling Season, he would get 2 bats for that, additional to the bats that you do get. Then you could sack 1 to make 2, and you can kind of get an engine going where you can overwhelm the board state. Gives the deck inevitability. As it stands now, however, it looks like Glare of Subdual is going to keep James alive, but he's got to worry about that Vraska ticking up. In fact, she might even just take out the Glare of Subdual the next time that she can.
I can tell you that Gavin Verhey has just evened things up against Conley Woods, courtesy of Niv Mizzet Draco Genius. He made it, he hit Conley for 5, and then went ping, ping, ping. It was like a submarine movie. And that gave Niv Mizzet the victory and Gavin Verhey the victory. They are now tied at 1. So we may well get a chance to see their Game 3.
It looks like James is thinking, I'm wondering if he's receiving a little assistance here. He's sitting on 3 cards in hand, and he's got a ton of mana available. So it feels like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's got 7 mana. He can make a play. He's got 2 Saprolings on board. Something that makes a bunch of tokens would be really good. So we get a little comedy break from one rules manager, Matt Tabak.
Well, I mean, it has to be comedy. He's in a Green Bay Packers shirt, so I'm sure he'll be thrilled with that comment.
Got him. So Glare of Subdual gives James some flexibility here in that he can tap down some creatures if he wants, or he can tap down this Golgari Signet using his Saprolings, but he's going to need to get more creatures on the board to really make the Glare of Subdual good.
Okay, Marshall, I need to ask you a question. I know that limited resources is your thing, so relatively constructed, not a thing, but just a quick question. Neil Talbot is playing red-black discard against Fire Main Control. Now, the red-black discard deck has no cards in hand, and the Fire Main Control deck has 7 cards in hand. Can you tell me, is the red-black discard thing working as Neil probably intended, would you say?
Maybe he was targeting the wrong player with his discard spell.
Well, I do wonder.
7 cards to 0?
7 cards to 0 in favor of the not discard deck.
Doesn't seem to be doing what we want.
He's hellbent, apparently.
He is hellbent.
Says our esteemed coverage producer, Rashad Miller. Go Raptors.
Do we maybe want to take a look at this game? There's not a lot happening on this screen. I think that either they're away from the computer or they're in deep thought about what to make of the rest of this game.
Yeah, to be fair, I think when you do come here, you're going to find things not lasting terribly long. But we've got Watsy Shea Hall on top of the screen. You're going to see Court Hussars entering the battlefield. We've already got an Angel of Serenity up there, up top, which is hiding away a Rakdos Orgamage from back in the day. And then you have, down here at the bottom, a Lonely Seal of Fire for Neil Talbot. Wrong way, go back. All the way from Australia for this.
I think I know what that Seal of Fire's for.
To deal 1/3 of the damage necessary to kill Angel of Serenity?
No, that wasn't it.
Okay.
I believe, now I'd have to double check the list, but one of the ideas that they had that was really cool was casting Rakdos.
Actual honest to God, Rakdos.
Red, black, 6/6 flying trample. Yeah.
So with that, just sits there on the battlefield waiting to happen whenever he feels like it.
And when he draws the Rakdos, doesn't require any mana cost, so he can just cast it and get Rakdos down as soon as possible. Now, there was a little action back here on the Dan Emmons versus James LRR match that we were taking a look at.
Somebody moved from their upkeep to their draw step?
They did. A Seed Spark was resolved. It destroyed a Signet and made 2 more tokens, and then a Scatter the Seeds was also played after that. So all of a sudden, James has 7 Saprolings on the battlefield here, and he's looking to stabilize with his Glare of Subdual.
Ah. So he's kind of loading and ready, and now he just needs to say to his Saprolings, run.
Correct.
Okay. Meanwhile, Shea is still at 28. He's just put Neil down to 6. And more Court Hussar action going on there. To be honest, I think where we ought to go next is to have another look at Conley against Gavin. I don't know whether, Marshall, you feel like having a look at that one, because I imagine they are just about into their 3rd and deciding game. They should be underway there. So why don't we head over there and we'll see what's going on. As you see, Conley up at 20, and it's a blistering start from Conley Woods.
Yeah, Conley's already has a Trigon Predator, one of the better cards, really one of the better creatures ever made, really, and it seems great in this matchup. Also, just the early beats from a Watch Wolf. That is a Signet is definitely going to be used to kill this Trigon Predator, else it's just going to get destroyed anyway. Ribbons of Night, and it is indeed on the Trigon Predator. So he takes that out, Gavin does, but he's sitting at 12, and he's still facing down a Watch Wolf. Conley has 3 cards in hand. Gavin has 6. This actually looks like a pretty good position for Gavin. Now, quick update on that other match. Dan is up a game. They're in game 2. This was the Dan versus James, and James had 6 minutes on his clock and was nowhere near winning that game. So I think the clock might be an issue on that one. Now, on this one, this is Gavin Verhey versus Conley Woods. They're fine on clock. They're about the same. A second Signet for Gavin. Sitting at 9 life. And it looks like maybe a Mortars is... Oh, a Mizium Mortars indeed. Now, this one was overloaded. We saw it cast normally in the first game, but this game, it was overloaded, and it is a 3-for-1. Detention Sphere, though, is going to crack back, and it's going to take both Izzet Signets. So it's going to at least help Conley stay alive, but he really would have rather just played a big threat here, which he apparently doesn't have.
Yeah. Conley down to 2 cards, Gavin at 5, and although Gavin is at 9, there's not an awful lot of reach just available in the Bant deck for Conley to just...
And we see Mizzet Draco Genius enter the battlefield on Gavin's side, and if... instantly answered. Although we noticed that Gavin did leave up mana so that he can activate Niv Mizzet once, ping once to Conley, and draw a card off of it. So even after all that, he still was equal on cards.
Yeah. I can tell you that Mark Rosewater and Jackie Lee are underway in their next game. Watchwolf and Dryad Militant, the perfect 1-2 kickoff for Mark Rosewater. Jackie Lee just with land in play early here. But Conley's sitting at 2 cards in hand, and he's playing very defensively at this point with the Detention Spheres. Compulsive Research for Gavin. Yeah, you don't want to be playing defensively with Detention Spheres. You want to be playing aggressively with them, and
exactly
that feels bad for
Gavin.
Conley.
Does discard the Watery Grave there, so he's got to basically just draw 2 cards, discard one he didn't really want from his hand. Conley untaps. He plays a land. He's sitting on 2 cards in hand. Does he have a play here? It's pretty tough, but he doesn't have much of a choice. Gavin sitting at 5 cards in hand, but Conley can't sit there and wait for Gavin to tap out. And it looks like Conley's just going to pass the turn back. All right, Electrolyze is going to target Conley. So it looks like Gavin really wants to draw cards here. Normally you'd think that the Electrolyze would be saved for creatures. Another Compulsive Research for Gavin. He is digging.
Compulsive Research up against just lands for Conley. Conley's at 17. See the graveyards there on your left of screen filling up nicely. Tell you Jackie Lee, by the way, has just cast Plague Boiler, which you get to put a plague counter on at the start of your upkeep, and you can add to them 3 mana at a time, and then if you ever get up to 3 plague counters or more, all non-land permanents bite the dust. So Jackie will be eager to get her fairly clunky Wrath of God plus into action in that one.
All right, looks like Gavin has found something of his 6 cards that he wants to cast. He's tapping a ton of mana. This could be many different things. It could be a Rakdos' Return. It could be another Niv Mizzet. Looks like he's changed his mind. All right, tapping again. What do you got, Gavin? He does have a Rakdos' Return. And that's going to target Conley. It's going to make him discard his last 2 spells, although it's going to get remanded here. So Conley gets to cycle, and he's going to have 1 reprieve with which to cast both of... Well, he's going to end up with 3 cards in his hand, and he's going to want to dump his hand because that Rakdos' Return is going to strip away those cards if he doesn't.
Trick Jarrett feeling a lot happier, gives us the thumbs up as he heads on by.
All right, Armada Worm comes down for Conley, and it resolves. He's also going to play his Temple Guard, leaving him with 1 card in hand. Gavin can spend 3 mana to take that card away if he wants, or he can even dump a whole ton of mana into it to do a bunch of damage to Conley. But right now, Conley is sitting with lethal damage in this game. He's got 10 power. Gavin's only at 9, although Gavin has the full 7 cards in hand, and it's hard to imagine that he doesn't have a way to deal with at least one of these. He Dreadbores, or the actual Armada Worm, leaving just a worm token behind, and that one also get Dreadbores. So that was a solid play on Conley's side in that he got a 2-for-1 out of the deal, but he's now sitting at 1 cards to 5. One of the cards in Gavin's hand is Rakdos' Return. He'll probably use it here just to finish off Conley's hand and leave him completely cardless. And that is exactly what he's doing. It looks like he's going to get him for 4 damage.
Oh.
And the last Plains in Conley's hand is discarded. Steam Vents comes into play tap for Gavin, and he's got 3 cards. So the dust has finally settled on this attrition war, and Gavin is ahead. He's got 3 cards in hand. Now, Conley draws a Birds of Paradise. It's essentially a blank in this position, and he passes the turn back to Gavin. All right, Gavin now has 4 cards and infinite mana. Maybe not literally, but he's got a ton of mana. He can do pretty much whatever he wants here. He's going to use Ribbons of Night on the Birds of Paradise. That doesn't happen that often, I don't think. But he did get to draw a card off of it. And he's going to follow up with Desecration Demon. Now that's going to be a 3-turn clock as the board sits. Conley draws his card and passes a turn back. Their ability from Desecration Demon goes on the stack. There's nothing to be interacted with, and the demon is going to bash in for 6 damage here.
Oof. This
is not looking good for Conley Woods.
No.
This is game 3 for these two. So Conley needs to find a way to pull himself out of this Desecration Demon lock. Niv Mizzet Draco Genius follows up for Gavin. Now, this makes a lot of sense. It was a remand in hand for Conley, but I believe that Gavin can just simply recast Niv Mizzet here. And he does exactly that. So now he's got 11 flying of power. Also, he's got 100 mana with which to use Niv Mizzet just to go to Conley's Dome. Conley has 1 card in hand. Make that 2. He passes the turn back, and I think this will be the end of round 1 for Conley Woods.
Yep. It was really interesting having a chat with Conley last night. So rare that we get a chance to talk about things other than Magic. You know, when we're always meeting at GPs and Pro Tours and so on. I had not realized what a fantastic athlete he had been at school. High school, you know, all state, basketball, baseball, you name it. He got an athletic scholarship to college to play basketball, and then it was ultimately, I believe, an Achilles injury that kind of put paid to that aspect of his career.
I want to play basketball against Conley. You know, I played in high school too.
Yeah, well, I'm surrounded by gigantically tall people. It's like I always feel small when I'm around you and Conley and Nate Price and
Smitty's that tall too.
Yeah, you're all just like I just keep wondering what my little neck injury is, and it's
all right. So that does seal it up for Gavin here. Conley sitting at a very sad -4 life total, and Gavin takes the match.
Okay, so what you're looking at now on the bottom of your screen is Jackie Lee, who is just about to cast Vraska the Unseen. She has been in a race for some time trying to get counters on to this Plague Boiler, which has just blown up the world, which is why you see a completely empty battlefield apart from this new Vraska, who begins there you see, until your next turn, whenever a creature deals combat damage to Vraska, destroy that creature. You get to destroy an on-land permanent. Vraska will go up to 6. -7 is the ultimate, getting the 3/1/1 assassins. And Jackie is trying to fight back here to make it 1-1. This is still game 2. Just like it is in the James Loading Ready run against Dan Emmons match. And we've now seen that Gavin's just taken out Conley by 2-1. So 2 matches left here in round 4 of the Community Cup 2012. And right now, Jackie is looking to gain some control with Vraska the Unseen, having been pounded by Mark Rosewater in the early game with Dryad Militant there and Watchwolf and Moldavine Cloak. Watch out for that, because that has Dredge, remember, so that we could see back. Here now, an extremely undersized Wayfaring Temple. Look, everybody, it's a 1/1 for 3. Fantastic. And now here comes Selesnya Guildmage. So
it's a little bigger now.
So 4 gets him to put a 1/1 green sapling onto the battlefield, and 4 again, this time with white mana, get +1/+1.
Now I have a quick update in the Dan Emmons versus James LR
what's going on
match.
there?
Now we're still in game 2.
Okay.
And if you remember the last time I checked in, I said that James was starting to run low on clock. He's now dangerously low on clock, sitting at 2 minutes, and he has to win 2 games in that time period.
Not
now
happening.
I don't want to say anything because of what we saw yesterday, but that's nearly impossible. So it looks like Dan Emmons is going to be able to solidify the win there for the WotC team.
So Jackie is going to take 3 counters off Vraska to get rid of the threat of Selesnya Guildmage. She's still got 4 cards in hand. Mark only has 1. Now, admittedly, Jackie is playing some cards that aren't particularly impactful late game sometimes because she's ramping up. So she's got cards like Farseek going on there that you see. But nonetheless, that's still thinning her library out and building towards an end game. You would think there's every chance of Jackie making this 1-1. And again, the clock could be significant here because Mark is down to 4 minutes. And although he's 1-0 up, he really needs to win this one. Or a last frantic game 3 at top speed. He does at least, though, have the right deck of the two to be trying to win at top speed. So we'll see what happens with this.
So interesting, while the clock has run down for James here, he has played Collective Blessing.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's
So
left him with 34 power of creatures on the board. And he is attacking with all of them right now.
Yes.
But
Jace makes them a teeny bit smaller.
yeah, they will be using the F7 ability here, but yeah.
What's the F7 ability?
So whenever there's a bunch of the same ability on the stack, if you hit F7, it'll say okay to all of them.
Oh, right. So
you know
like
how
a
you have to
storm
place
count
them
or
on
whatever?
the stack? Yeah, as long as it's the same ability and you have to click each one to put it on the stack, F7 will put them all on the stack at once, as long as they're all the same.
Great.
Yeah.
Ah. I've just learned something. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So, Wayfaring Temple is now 2-2. Saproling, courtesy of Vidu-Ghazi, the City Tree. That card was very central to the original Beach House deck. Pro Tour Honolulu 2009. That was there. Oh, 2006 rather.
Yeah, because 2009 was Alara block constructed.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the one that Conley top aided, right?
We thought he had the best deck in that top 8. He was running around with things like Lavalanche.
Oh, I remember that card.
Yeah.
I remember that from Limited. That card was a beating. All right, so why is there's like, ooh, I see a doubling season.
Yes, you do. So if an effect would put one or more tokens onto the battlefield under your control, puts twice that many tokens instead, hence 6 assassins. If an effect would place one or more counters on a permanent you control, it places twice that many of those counters instead. Mark Rosewater, despite being on 20 life, potentially in trouble, though Jackie is only at 6. And remember, still, there is a Moldavine Cloak up here, which can give something +3/+3, should Mark decide to dredge it. We are pretty certain that this is a game Mark has to win. And, well, hello, that is a pair of 4/4 elephants coming down. Elephant Soldier, Elephant Cleric, they both hit just as hard, whether it's religion or sword. They pound in for 4 apiece, and Jackie is at 6 and needs answers. She's got 3 cards. Now, she can destroy one of them with Vraska the Unseen. Vraska would go down to 1 loyalty. And she's gone with Golgari Charm.
What did that do?
I think? No? No.
Oh, she did Vraska.
Oh, she did Vraska. There we go.
Yeah, I was going to say, Golgari Charm wouldn't do it. I didn't make any sense either.
No, no, nonsense. Vraska the Unseen goes down to 1 loyalty. She was left with no choice. But that in and of itself is a victory for Mark, because that sends Vraska far away from the 7 loyalty she needs to put the 3/1/1 assassins, or 6 as it will be with doubling season.
All right, so this is officially the last match that we're watching now, as Dan Emmons was naturally successful. The clock didn't end up being a factor. He just ended up playing a Simic Sky Swallower, which finished off James.
So Loxodon Smiter is going to come in, and does Jackie have an answer? She has Putrefy. Go away. And
so Jackie is very comfortably alive, and, you know, I hate to keep harping on it, but that clock is starting to tick away on Mark Rosewater's side again.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of time to draft on Magic Online, it turns out, when you're busy designing every set that comes out of the building here.
It's true. It's true. So
are we going to see a Jace here? Another doubling season?
Yeah.
Whoa, that could get super silly.
So one of our coverage colleagues, Dave Sutcliffe, back in England, once discovered...
There's
another Sutcliffe.
Yeah,
Dave Sutcliffe. Discovered that there is a doubling season deck that within 6 turns can give you more +1/+1 counters than grains of sand on the earth.
That's great.
Yeah, there's Unfortunately, I can't go through the details with you, nor do I have the 18 hours necessary to do so. But he did at one point prove
that's fantastic.
that there were more +1/+1 counters in this one notional game of Magic than there were grains of sand upon the earth.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is information that I need to know.
Yeah, I don't think he won, though, because there was worship in play on the other side, and the guy had a creature, so it didn't matter. But, yeah, so Moldavine Cloak now for the Saproling. One assumes is going to be the plan here.
Jackie is sitting at a precarious life total
That's
here.
it.
She's
It's
only at 6.
Yeah, all these doubling seasons, they're not actually doing anything right now.
They do need friends to make them good.
Just got one card in hand, and now here comes a 4/4 Saproling.
So is this attacking Vraska or her? It's attacking Jackie.
Well, you've got to attack Jackie, right? I mean, Vraska's only at 2 counters, remember?
That's right.
It's not like Vraska's doing very much.
She's doing nothing.
And next turn, if Jackie puts Vraska up to 3, then, which is what happens, well, that's, you know.
Yeah, just irrelevant. You just
I'm not going to touch you.
On your way by.
Yeah, see ya.
Yeah, you look really scary. I'll grant you that. And meanwhile,
well, I presume you look really scary.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to check.
Yeah. All right, another Saproling on end step, and it looks like Mark Rosewater might have this one.
It's not going to matter.
It's not.
It's going to be one game, or he's going to have 46 seconds to try and win a decider. Because wait! Mark is 1 up according to our score sheet right now. Let's see if we can get that confirmed. This now has been updated as the decider. And that's it. Mark Rosewater takes down Jackie Lee. Well done, Mark. Goodness me.
Did he just win the match right there?
Apparently.
Oh, no. I'm looking at the score sheet for when we get our updates.
Jackie Lee just takes a little bit of water on board. And Mark Rosewater tries not to look too hatefully smug as he takes down the Magic Pro, Jackie Lee. Oh, fantastic. 2029. That's when this building will hear the end of that particular story.